Hey everyone, it's Sophie here from the Crossdressing Lifestyle channel. Now we're the channel that when we do product reviews, we do all the research and heavy lifting so you don't have to. And in today's video, we're going to be having a look at this full length bodysuit. Now, like so many people, I've been very intrigued to see how realistic these bodysuits really are, and more importantly what they are actually like to wear. Now it is worth pointing out at this particular moment these are not the cheapest of items to buy and shouldn't be purchased on a whim, and you really should do your product research before investing your hard-earned cash. Now what I did do was to have a look on Amazon and eBay where these items appear to be extremely popular. Now the more research I did and questions I asked, the less information I seemed to be able to obtain. Now, given the frustration, I thought I would write to one of the manufacturers before I purchased with a couple of pertinent questions, particularly relating to the shade of the silicone and more importantly, what was the correct size for me. Now it's worth establishing at this particular juncture that I stand at 5'6.5" and my current weight is 70 kilograms. Now I would consider myself to be rather a small to medium sized man, so I didn't think it's going to be a problem. Now I was assured by the manufacturers that the skin tone that they would supply would be pretty good match, plus that the actual bodysuits themselves are very pliable. It's a bit like a one size almost fits all approach, which was a little bit disconcerting because the particular one that I selected in the end was one that was supposed to be from 68 to 87 kilograms, I believe, and the height range was within that of my own stature. Now, going back to the information, I did manage to find a couple of pieces of information. One was this particular schematic on how to actually wear the bodysuit, which was interesting, and a very brief video of an Asian person slipping in to the bodysuit. Now, what I failed to take on board at the time of viewing the video was how very slight this particular person was. Having said that, once I'd actually made a decision to go, the item did actually arrive fairly promptly. I think it was about 5 to 7 days before it actually arrived here. And when I unpacked it, let's just say I was a little taken aback. First of all, the weight of the suit was somewhere in the region of about 10 kilos, which in itself was not a bad weight, but the skin colour or tone I thought was quite a bit off. It is a very, how would I say, manufactured pinky skin tone, as you can see. And some of the thicknesses of the bodysuit were quite thick. Hence the reason why I suppose there was a caveat that it did actually, or does actually, stretch quite a lot. Now, like most people, or particularly like most guys, I didn't really take a great deal of notice of the aforementioned instructions on how to put it on. So I hastily tried, and I mean tried, to put it on. I managed to squirm and squeeze and just about get it up to my arm level, just about over my wrists, about, you know, with my arms by the side, at which point I was extremely hot, very agitated, and I had to cry for my partner, I mean literally cry for my partner Krista to come down and help me remove the whole bodysuit as far as I got it on. Now, I thought, well, in hindsight, what I would do would actually read the instructions correctly. That way it's bound to work. After all, we've got to give these things a second chance, haven't we? So what I thought I'd do this time was actually film me putting it on where possible. Now, there's a slight caveat here that due to some of the restrictions of YouTube, I couldn't quite film all of it at the angle I'd like to, but you're going to get an idea. So you can see here I actually rolled up the legs as instructed, You can see on the instruction here that the legs are to be rolled up almost as high as the thigh. I personally couldn't get them up that high. It was almost impossible. I was almost breaking my wrist trying to roll them up. Now, what I need to do is just to slip into it. Now, I think at this stage it might have been an idea to put on some talcum powder, but I think in all essence I don't think it would have made a great deal of difference, if I'm really honest. After a considerable struggle, I did manage to get myself into the neck, and now if you look at the neck here, it is quite a small angle or section to get through, and please bear in mind we are supposed to get our shoulders through that as well at some particular stage. So I had a major struggle, and I did manage to get it up to just about my hips. I straightened out the legs a little bit, so the crutch was roughly where it should be. Now at this stage I was almost exhausted and very hot and sweaty, which was not very helpful because the silicone started to tuck under itself and roll up a little bit, making it even more difficult to get on. Now, I am somebody who doesn't give up very easy, so being undeterred, I decided to kind of slip or try and slip my arm in the hope that I could get it up to the shoulder as shown on the diagram here. Now, I must admit at this stage I was getting very flustered, and to be honest my body temperature was excessively high. I tried everything I could, but my hands were actually trapped down by the side of my body, and I could not for the life of me stretch this bodysuit anymore in an attempt to get the arms in. Literally I just gave up before I literally passed out, and I had to scream for some help to get the damn thing off. I was extremely hot, very agitated. Now I must say at this point, again emphasize, I'm only 5'6" and quite lightweight, so anybody that would be above a size 14, I would say it would be impossible, it would be a nightmare to try and get one of these on. And I cannot express enough how hot and sweaty I was. It was just so uncomfortable. Now, in saying that, there are other designs about with the backs cut out a little bit, and you can get the lower proportion of this sort of bodysuit and the upper portion of this bodysuit. God alone knows what it must be like to try and get into one with a complete face mask on it as well. I think you would absolutely die. The heat would be incredible to get rid of. So I would say, in summary of that particular product, whilst I don't wish to put anybody off, I would have to say with a great word of caution, they are extremely difficult to get into. In fact, I couldn't get into it, and they are very hot to wear. Now, if there is any manufacturers out there or anybody has any different experience on this, please put your comments down below. I would be absolutely delighted to have another look at different versions of this, but for me it's a huge big thumbs down on so many areas. The colour of them, the thickness, the seams on them I could see, and also it was just so unpleasant to wear. Now, I hope you found that particular review of some sort of interest. As I said, please, if you have any other experiences, pop the notes down below. I'd be very interested to hear your comments. So all that remains for me to say is, as always, please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. Stay gorgeous, stay safe, and until the next time, bye bye.